I've been thinking lately about kind of operating with a mindset of what if we had no data? And I'll admit, this is going back to years ago. Adam Greco used to give presentations where he would talk about imagine you had no website and then you had to justify why you needed a website and what it needed to do. And it's kind of a similar thing. Because it seems like what we actually do is we collect all of this data. And we're basically collecting all of this data, as much data as we can. We're hoovering it up just in case we need it at some point. And I lifted that from Matt Gershoff, who talks about a mentality of it's like an optionality play. We're collecting data so that we'll have the option to analyze it for some purpose in the future. But then what happens when we actually have a problem we're trying to solve through analysis is that we feel drawn to all of that data that we collected. Whether or not that is the most appropriate, the most causally valid, or the source of kind of the most predictive power or not, that's the data that we have. So when we have a problem we're trying to address, that's the data that we turn to. If we flip that around and said, what if we had no data? One, it means we're going to have to be really, really clear on what problems we're trying to solve and what are ideas, what are our hypotheses about what might be going on, or what are we really trying to achieve? Because we don't have the data. We can't just assume that the data is going to automatically be there. So we're going to be really, really clear in our thinking about what our needs are. And then we're going to turn and say, now, given those needs and the stakes involved, what is the most effective way for me to gather the data that I need? And then we start asking the question, sometimes, sure, the gathering of the data may be, something we need in our CRM or tagging that we have on the website. But it could also be, research that we run. We pop up a survey on our website or we send it out through an email, or maybe we run an experiment that is collecting net new data. And that can actually help us get to the most appropriate data. Now, it doesn't give us that instant gratification that we think we're going to get by firing up Power BI and just getting an immediate answer, because it means now we have to go collect that data. So that's a little bit theoretical, where no one's going to operate in a world that has no data, where no data has been collected. We do need, KPIs that are tracked over time. We are going to need some base level trends. There's going to be data that kind of automatically gets collected. So I'm not saying that we actually nuke all the data and start from scratch, but I do think that as analysts or data scientists or researchers, or even as, people in the business, having that sort of mentality can bring some real focus and some real clarity to what is it we're actually trying to do and what's the most appropriate way to do it, and not get kind of sucked into what can I get from all of this data that I've collected. I've got to go extract some value from it, so let me dive in.